What's going on, my Light Ones? It's your boy Mosh the MC back again. The heat has dwindled down, and now it's only about 80 degrees outside, so I can finally go rollerblading again without feeling too exhausted. But we moved. Today we're going to be talking about the strongest creature in the world, Kaido, and his son, Yamato. As we know in the last chapter, they finally had the interaction we've finally been waiting for called change, saying, I'm here to finally break the bonds that tie us together. Kaido said, "Do you be calling me father?" But let's dive into it. Yamato and Kaido. Okay, Kaido's one-liners the last couple chapters when he saw Luffy hit home. First, it was the human remark, and then clinging to faith. And actually, it was the one also with Kinemon saying that you should accept death when it comes. Those three one-liners. One foreshadowing to him, obviously, I think before people were talking about how Kaido shouldn't die, like maybe he gets a revelation because like Luffy doesn't kill people, he destroys their dreams, and Kaido's been dreaming for a glorious death. And then, you know, Luffy is stated to want to kill Kaido, but you also have to remember, it's not only Luffy. It's Luffy, it's Zoro, it's Momonosuke, it's the Scabbards, it's Odin, which Yamato's will now. Yamato took over Odin's will. There's Kid. There's pretty much everyone in Wano. Orochi. I mean, the samurai. I mean, there's so many people who want to take Kaido's head, and for him to eventually just leave, I feel like that's like a it's weird to me, because a person like that can't just be left to roam. But signs are showing that that actually might be the case, because the beast pirates as we know it are being dismantled. So the beast pirates are made of Tobiropo, the gifters, pleasurers, waiters, the top performers, and then Kaido. So Kaido is slated to die from somebody. The Tobiropo are each battling, and they were already originally all captains of their own ship at one point. The top performers, King and Queen and Jack, they're all fighting. Jack's on his deathbed, sort of, kinda. I mean, Queen and King haven't really shown us much. And then you have Tobiropo. Tobiropo are all captains of their own crew, so if they did leave, that's fine. But the gifters, the pleasures, and the waiters. Gifters are all going to be transferred over to Otama's orders very soon, very, very soon, probably in the next couple chapters. Pleasures and waiters. Pleasures and waiters, basically most of them already switched sides because of the whole situation with Queen saying that you guys are this is how you add your usefulness to the pirates by dying glorious, not dying glorious, but like you dying to aid us, basically. Queen's magnus opus was the reason why they wanted to die. Was there use for them to die? There we go. Okay. But how does Yamato play into this whole thing? So we started off learning more about Kaido with Momonosuke getting the devil fruit and how it was extracted from his lineage factor, and how Kaido's been experimented on multiple times, almost like Kuma did, and how that eventually led to the failure of a devil fruit. And it keeps like coming to me, because obviously I know parents aren't a big thing in One Piece, but I'm trying to realize, is Yamato's mom going to play a part in this whole story? And I think it might be like, actually I was thinking like possibly Yamato's mom is the mysterious figure. Everyone's saying that Big Mom had a kid with Whitebeard. Everyone said Big Mom had a kid with Kaido, then it was Katakuri, and Big Mom and Kaido's was like Shanks or something like that. Something egregious. I definitely know it's not Kaido. I mean, definitely know it's not Shanks, but something egregious like that. And I saw something online about it possibly being someone else we don't know in Wano on there, like, or someone else that's outside of Wano that we don't know about yet. But right now we're going to focus on Yamato. Yamato's connections with Kaido, I feel like, have a lot to do with the situation with Vegapunk, when he was captured by the world government. I don't know what it is, but I feel that Kaido's lineage factor was made, Yamato was made from Kaido's lineage factor into an actual person. And the reason why I thought that is because Kaido said, "You should call me father." And then Yamato almost implies that I'm here to break the bonds that tie us together, or break the chains. That's when they get a direct quote. I think that's what it said. And for some reason, I feel that Kaido actually took Yamato from the world government because they made him from his lineage factor. And if that's not the case, I need more information on Yamato's mother, because that's also going to play a big factor in the whole storyline of Kaido. Because remember, Kaido is more than just, as the story progresses, or as we know more about Kaido, he's more than just the big bad of Wano. Like all of his actions are calculated. Him choosing Wano, him buying the numbers, him making making smile fruits, him finally deciding to making alliance with Big Mom. All those steps were pre-planned, not really pre-planned, but they're all like steps that he planned out perfectly until the time for him to actually go and execute it. Yes, he's wanting to die, and I feel like that has a lot to do with his backstory. And the fact that he couldn't die was why he went about the things he did, or how he went about most of the things he did throughout the story. So him dying, I feel like is a way to get away from everything he's already started. Because I feel like something about his past ties him to not being able to die. I kept saying it's a curse, like Zunisha was cursed to keep walking, or was punished to keep walking. I feel like Kaido was almost cursed to live on and do a certain job. And until that job is done, or until this time period starts, or until this thing is actually completed, you can't die. Because there's no way at some point it's just like, okay, if you really truly want to die, there's numerous ways to die. He could literally jump in the water and drown, maybe, but he's a fish fruit, so then maybe that cancels out. He was not able to get stabbed. He wasn't able to get hung, and he wasn't able to face the guillotine. So it has to be something about him that prevents him from dying. Everyone's like, oh, it's his strong armament haki, his strong conqueror's haki. But at that point, we know that haki is almost used in a way you can turn it on and off. So if he wanted to die, there's perfect opportunity for him to like, okay, I'm ready to go. And I feel like Yamato, or him getting Yamato, changed the perspective on how we view things, and that's why he started to aim towards world domination, starting the greatest war that the planet's ever seen. I think Yamato's 28. 20 years ago was the whole death of 20 years ago. I'm checking this timeline right. Yes, 20 years ago was the whole timeline with Odin. 8 years ago was when Yamato had been born. I think around that time was when maybe the Rocks pirates were active, or maybe it's like right after the Rocks pirates were active and Kaido was captured, gaining Yamato, and that's the reason why he chose Wano, because he knows Wano was closed off. He can probably raise his child and fulfill the prerequisite for him to be able to die and live a glorious life. Because I don't think it's at this point where he can't die because he doesn't want to die. There has to be something stopping him from dying, because he's been choosing to try to die for a while. And I don't think it's just an honorable death. I think it's much more than that. And that's what draws me to the whole Joy Boy part. So Yamato knows of Joy Boy. Like, he read Odin's book, Odin's logbook. So he knows about Joy Boy. He knows about what's supposed to happen in 20 years around this time. He knows, and he also interacted with Ace. So he knows that Ace talked about his brother Luffy coming. So Odin, or Yamato, knows all of that. But now Kaido said it looks like you couldn't be Joy Boy either. That one line right there, either, means that he's met other people who are supposed to be candidates of Joy Boy. So I was thinking maybe the 5 shadows he saw, Roger, Whitebeard, Odin, Shanks, and Zebek. He saw those people behind Luffy. And he said, how high can your ceiling go? All right. And I think he was saying that because he's almost like the gate. I mentioned this in other videos as well, but he's almost like the gatekeeper for the title of Joy Boy. Like, he knows Joy Boy's supposed to come, but he doesn't know when. And he knows that he's supposed to be defeated by Joy Boy. So when when time comes, that's when he can actually face his death. And until that happens, he cannot die. And it brings me back to the situation of like how ancient giants are big, or Oni or ogres are a big thing into Kaido's background. Maybe he's like a descendant of an ancient giant, or like his name is Kaido or something like that. I mean, that's a stretch too, but I think that for Kaido to actually die is when Joy Boy has finally arrived. And I think he knows that Wano has to be open when Joy Boy arrives. So he's waiting in Wano for Joy Boy because he's waiting in line. He's waiting for his death to finally come, because Joy Boy's supposed to put him down. And until that happens, he's just gonna do whatever he wants. That's why he said. That's why I think now he's going about the way that thing. So the Joy Boy was supposed to take over the world and beat the world government. And I think him waiting for Joy Boy took too much time, to the point where he wants to do it himself now, and that's why he allied with Big Mom to go for the ancient weapons. And the reason why Yamato plays such a good part in it is because Yamato's book, or Yamato's treasure, in Odin's logbook that Momo has now, but that Momo dropped. So depending on how the next couple chapters go, that book is still going to be there. Say Kaido is tremendously much stronger than Yamato. The thing is, the reason why I think Kaido is much stronger than Yamato as well was the situation with Ulti. I think when Yamato used Thunder Bagua on Ulti, and Ulti was like, it's Blunder Bagua or something like that, he discredited Yamato because it didn't pack the oomph that Kaido's has. And I think that's because Kaido's is coded in Conquerors, Yamato's isn't. And I don't know if Yamato didn't code it in Conquerors to not knock out Ulti, but then I thought about it, it would make sense, because Yamato wants to be on the side of the alliance of the raid. So he would have took out Ulti if he gave him the chance. So I think Yamato doesn't have Conqueror's Haki, and Kaido does. And if that's the case, it might be not really much of a long fight, but a good fight. Because remember, Yamato's lost to Kaido numerous times, and I think Yamato almost transforming into the fangs started growing. I think that shows that Yamato has a devil fruit or is a purebred dragon. If it's made strictly from Kaido's lineage factor and it's grown into a human, I think Yamato's able to just transform at will into a dragon without actually being a devil fruit. This is what I think. I think Yamato's actually the not failed product. I think Yamato is literally the successful addition of the lineage factor being drawn from Kaido. The devil fruit was the failure, but Yamato is the actual being that actually was successful. I mean, that's a stretch and a half, but I feel like there's a lot more to Yamato's a character that we don't know yet. And I feel like the mother needs to almost play a part in it because it would add up or tie up a lot more in the story. And I know parents in One Piece is not really a big thing. A lot of them either just die or just are not really written into the story, XYZ Luffy's mom. But I feel like in this situation, it can add so much more depth to both characters and the backstories to both characters, because we're going to need the backstory of Yamato before that 8-year gap before Oden's death. We need that. We need that chunk of meat for it to actually like explain a lot of why Kaido's doing what he's doing and why he chose Wano of all places. People saying because it's close up from the government, he can bolster his power. I get that, but at the same time, Kaido's the strongest creature in the world. He holds like some power, and it doesn't look like the government actually goes after people who goes after the Yonko like actively. So, I mean, I know Wano's still a good place, but I feel like it plays a lot more to do with the backstory of Kaido, him actually not being human, Yamato not being human either, and more of the ancient giant, the continent puller race, the descendants of giants. I think in that realm, in that ballpark, you can add Joy Boy to there. You can add Oars Jr. to there. You can add a bit about the D clan as well. So these next couple chapters are going to be important because we finally get the interaction between Kaido and Yamato, and I feel like that's going to propel us. I feel like that's going to make Kaido jump like into the realms of like, yo, this character. Whoa, like we underestimated him in the beginning. His introduction was one of the most. Think about his introduction to the story. You know what I'm saying? Like Lance, your air always bet on Kaido. 1v1 bet on Kaido. When the guillotine dropped, it snapped. When the spear stabbed him, it broke. Like all that whole narration. Can't remember word for word. I did at one point where I did my Kaido's death poem speech, but I can't do it now. But just the whole encompassing of his character leading to him actually dying. I feel like we're gonna get a full circle of a character. But we already have a lot of his backstory, like why he did certain things in the Wano, like with Orochi to begin with. But there's a whole part of his character that's missing. And when we finally get that piece of pie to add to the whole situation, it's just like, yeah, Kaido's like that. Kaido's more than just a big bad. So I feel like Vegapunk, Yamato, and the book, depending on this history of the book, if Kaido actually ever saw it, Vegapunk saying more about what he did to Kaido, and Yamato learning more about Yamato's past, that 8-year past, or more about why he's taking up Oden's will and calling himself Oden, and to how Kaido is affected by that situation may also propel us to get that backstory. So what do you guys think? What are some things you want to be revealed about Kaido? I think my biggest thing is the 8-year gap between when Yamato was born and when he went to Wano, and him not being able to die. I mean, those are the two biggest key points in Kaido's life that once we learn more about, it's going to be. But yeah, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about Kaido and Yamato and how the interaction is going to go between them. And like I said at the end of every single video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the bell button to come back next time and remain enlightened, y'all. Peace.